Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Lewis from Recycle Bicycle Sales, and today we're going to be talking about transitioning to clip-in pedals on your bicycle. So what are clipless pedals? I'm glad you asked. The clipless pedal is actually a funny word that they use. It's almost like a pedal that you clip into, even though they say clipless pedals. But we're talking about a pedal that can attach to the cleat on the bottom of your shoe so that they both become one and they can sort of pull each other together. They're not going to be able to slip around because they're so well attached together. There's sort of three main benefits that I think that you'll find when you move across to the clip-in pedals. The first one would be that your pedal stroke is more efficient. So instead of only being able to push down and then having to just let your other leg sort of pull it back up, now you're able to pull it up as well so you can have a more efficient pedal stroke around the whole revolution of it. That would be one. The second one would be that your foot doesn't slip around. If you've ever ridden on flat pedals, especially in the wet weather perhaps, you'd absolutely know what I mean. That when your foot's here, sometimes it can slip around and then it's here and it's all over the place. So it's very inconsistent, whereas the clip-in pedals will hold your foot in the exact same spot every single time. The third one that I think you'll find is that you have more control over the bike. You could perhaps try and like tilt the pedal a little bit, which will in turn tilt the whole bike, or push harder into it or pull up. You're able to control the bike with not only your hands, but also with your feet as well. So this is what the actual clip looks like that's on the bottom of your shoe, the cleat. With a road bike, this is what a Shimano one looks like. We can see that it's in the shape of a triangle. Shimano make them in 3 different colors as well. So this particular example here is yellow. Yellow is what most people are going to have when they transition across to clip-in pedals. My reason for saying that is yellow has the most amount of float. Float is talking about how much your foot can move before it actually unclips. Mountain bike pedals, I know that I just said mountain bike, but if you were a road bike rider and you're looking to get into clips, this might be a much easier way to transition across. My reason for saying that is the actual cleat, which is that metal part there. If you look from a side on, it doesn't poke out past the shoe, which means if you're walking around on the tiles or in the coffee shop, it's not as slippery because now we're standing on the rubber sole of the shoe rather than the big plastic piece that's sticking out the bottom. Yes, I did call this one a mountain bike cleat, but for someone transitioning across, this might be even easier than the road bike cleats as well. When we look at these road bike ones, some of the benefits that you'll find from looking at this sort of style here is they're a lot stiffer, they'll hold your foot in a more solid place, and they're often quite a bit lighter, which if you have any road bike friends, you'd be fully aware that all they care about is saving weight. So the road bike cleats are exactly what a road cyclist is often looking for in regards to saving weight and all the efficiency through the pedal stroke. However, if we look at the mountain bike style, they tend to be a little bit more of a robust pedal. Again, a mountain biker might smash their pedal into a rock, or they might drop the bike on the side. Being the fact that they're robust, you could also argue that they're easier to use as well because they're harder to, I suppose, break in a way. Another benefit that you could say with these mountain bike ones here as well is that they tend to be a little bit more comfortable, whereas these road bike ones almost feel like a tight sock around your foot. Again, all about efficiency, and I suppose you could even argue aerodynamics and all that fun stuff as well, whereas these mountain bike ones are just so much more comfortable for your everyday rider. But who should get what? Great question. Again, just because it says road bike and it says mountain bike doesn't mean that you need to follow that like the Bible, but I guess their marketing does make sense as well. These road bike ones tend to be more for your typical road cyclist who's perhaps wearing their Lycra and, you know, racing up and down the hills and around the track, that kind of thing. That's most likely the person that's going to go for these road bike clips, whereas the mountain bike might be someone who's perhaps transitioning across and wants it to be a little bit easier and even perhaps safer for yourself as well. These ones are really good for beginner road cyclists, and then obviously for mountain bikers as well who might have to get off the bike and perhaps walk a difficult section of trail. They're perfect for you. If you're a gravel bike rider, you're pretty well perfectly in between these two. My recommendation would be going for the mountain bike style of cleat, because your chances are you're going to find yourself having to perhaps climb over a fence or whatever else gravel bike riders need to do. So chances are you're going to have to put your feet down a little bit more often and on off-road surfaces more often than what a road biker would. While I've got these pedals here, I just want to quickly show you something else that beginners might not be aware of when they're moving across to clip-in pedals. You can actually adjust the tension on these clips. The tension will adjust how easy it is to clip in and clip out. So this spring on the back of these road bike ones or the spring on the back of these mountain bike ones is just able to be tighter or able to be looser. If you're perhaps a beginner, you might want it to be nice and easy to just simply unclip your foot and put it down at the traffic lights, so you don't have to stress about those things. There's a simple adjustment that we can make on both of these ones here, which I just wanted to show you if you're considering moving across to clip-in pedals. We've got a positive and a negative, obviously plus and minus. So we can turn it towards the plus to make it tighter, or we can turn it towards the minus to make it looser. Looser is easier, tighter is harder. Try tighter, try harder, you'll end up finding what your feet need. You might even find that having your left foot or your right foot might even be a little bit different as well. So now we're going to talk about how to actually transition across to the clip-in pedals. Now my recommendation here is go and find a safe place that if you were to fall over, it's not going to hurt as much as concrete out there. So I recommend perhaps a big grassy field like an oval, or maybe you might want to set a mattress up next to you, or lots of soft pillows or something like that. Not saying that you will fall over, but just saying that if you do fall over, it'll hurt a little bit less. Let's go give it a try in the park next door. Now, before we practice clipping in and out of the pedal, we actually have to know how to clip in and out. So, firstly, I'm going to talk about the road bike, and then we're going to talk about the mountain bike. They're very similar, but there's a couple of differences I just want to highlight. With the road bike, you'll notice that the pedal always wants to droop down. Now, looking at the bottom of this cleat here, we can see it's sort of triangle shape. We want to get the front part of that triangle into this circle part at the front here. Once we've found that sort of guide hole, everything's easier from there. So we want to slide the pedal forward, find that guide hole there, and then we want to clip down at the back, I suppose. We want to stand our body weight on that part. We just spin it forward, find that guide hole, and then stand down on it. It's as easy as that to clip in. Clipping out is I'm going to say it's very simple. I suppose it becomes more simple with practice, but all we're doing is moving our heel out to the side. So we're twisting our foot to the side like that. So clip in, clip out. When you're practicing, it might be worth taking your foot all the way off so that you get that step number 1, find the guide hole. Step number 2, clip in. And then step number 3, turn your foot to the side. So now that we've spoken about the road bike cleat, let's talk about the mountain bike cleat here. I know that we're on a road bike, but I'm just showing you how the pedals work. So what we need to do is get the metal part of the cleat on the bottom of your shoe. We just need to touch that on the metal part of the pedal here. So we just need to find where that is, which there we go, we've found it now. And then step 2, stamp down to clip into place. Step 3, unclip. Very similar to the road bike, except there's no guide hole. Now, a common issue that people moving across into clip-in pedals might have is struggling to locate where the actual cleat is. They might be trying to put their foot here or trying to put their foot here and not putting it into the actual cleat. The shortest answer here is practice, 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 but I suppose the longer answer is that on the bottom of these shoes here, you can actually adjust the cleat downwards or adjust it upwards. So if you find yourself always, going near your toe, perhaps you could move the cleat to there, or if you find yourself always coming down behind the metal, you could perhaps move the cleat a little bit further back there to make it easier. Most people tend to have it right across the ball of their foot, where the sort of knuckles of your toes become your foot there, I suppose, just because that's where you'll be able to get the most efficiency per pedal stroke. One of the most stressful things that you can have when you're riding in clip-in pedals is feeling like you're falling over while you're still clipped in. Perhaps you've come up to the traffic lights, you've come to a stop, and now you need to unclip, and you're struggling to keep your balance, and you've got to unclip. Our recommendation here is if you can just, while clipped in, practice leaning the bike towards the way that you're clipped in, as if you're beginning to fall, and then starting to unclip. As the bike's leaning over and your body's moving, away from the way that you're leaning, because obviously you're trying to keep your balance, all of these muscles aren't really used to that. So what we're trying to do is teach these muscles that when you're leaning across like this, you're still able to turn your ankle. This one is gonna feel weird. I'm gonna tell you that politely right now. Leaning across as if you're starting to fall, and then just trying to catch it at the last second there's no other word than terrifying here. So do it in a spot that it's nice and safe, so that if you do struggle to unclip and you do end up hitting the floor, you're not going to land on sticks or bitumen or anything hard like that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've learned something about how to transition from flat pedals across to clip-in pedals. With this, we spoke about 2 main types of clip-in pedals there, road bike style and mountain bike style. Have a think about what you might benefit from, whether it's walking around the cafe or whether it's efficiency that you need. You can weigh up the different options there about what might suit you better. We spoke about some tips for how to clip in and clip out. We spoke about how to adjust the tension of pedals, whether it's the mountain bike style or the road bike style. And some perhaps techniques that you can have for if you start to feel yourself falling over, how to catch it just in time so you don't hit the ground. With all of this being said, none of this matters if you don't practice, practice, practice. I'm gonna leave you with that. Otherwise, thanks for watching our video. We'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.